everyone, I'm Rebecca and welcome back to my sewing room. Today we are going to be diving right back into Barbie, to my 1995 Butterfly Princess Barbie project. If you have missed the last two videos, I am talking about this Barbie right here. So if you have seen the last couple of videos, then you will know that we left off kind of in the middle of the magnetic saga of these butterflies, because these butterflies are magnetic if you haven't seen the last two videos. And basically at this point, I have what I think will work as a butterfly. This is what I showed you guys at the end of the last video, and this is made out of a steel butterfly interior, like a decoration butterfly interior that I've covered with Cricut vinyl, and then this is felt that joins the two together like this so that it can flutter. But we reached the issue of the wand that I had purchased to make into Barbie's wand. It was too strong a magnet. So I now kind of have a haul to show you because I got 4 different strengths of wands. I also got 2 options that I thought might work for the backing here to hold the wings out and away from the dress. One of them definitely won't work. I'll tell you more of that in a second. And I finally got that last wig that I had ordered before, which is also not going to work. So I will do a try on of the one wig that I showed you guys in the last video that I think might work. I will try that on and compare it to the one that I had purchased before for Holiday Barbie and then thought might work again for this. So yeah, we've got some stuff to do, but first let's go ahead and test out the magnet wands. So just for a little context, this was the 35-pound strength magnet wand. I think you can see from the wrapper just how big this is. And honestly, it was the size of wand that I think I was kind of looking for this project. Unfortunately, all of these lighter weight wands are pretty significantly smaller. So I have them here. I know a couple of them are wrapped, but like this one, okay, this must be the 1.5. It doesn't actually say on it, but basically I got a 1.5 pound, a 5 pound, a 10 pound, and what is hopefully going to be a 20 pound in this wrapper that I can't see through. And the 1.5 pounds are so kind of embarrassingly small. Like, look how tiny these are. They're like pens. I'm not going to be able to build a wand around this, so I hope that this is not the strength that I need. But let's take all of these out and just test them and find out what strength I need, keeping in mind that the strength may wind up being decreased slightly by the fact that I was going to kind of sculpt out of, I don't know what material you use, but I feel like I've seen Rachel Maxey use various sculpting type materials. I was going to sculpt the rose part around the top of the magnet, which most likely will decrease the strength of the magnet slightly because it has thicker stuff around it and it's like blocking it and getting in the way. Because this is the shape that we're going for. So that way we can have a big kind of rose up at the top and ideally have the telescoping wand down at the bottom so that I can just like stick this in my pocket when I'm not using it or not wanting to use it. So yeah, let's test out these wands. Let's start with the tiny one that I assume is the 1.5 weight. I don't know exactly how these are done, but basically this is the weakest one that is so tiny. Oh, okay, it's really only fluttering when I like touch it to it basically. So I think that this is going to be too weak. So let's move on to the 5 pound. Okay, actually, oh, this has promise. So basically when I get about a 1/4 inch away, that's when it wants to flutter. If I do get too close and touch it, it will magnetize, but not enough that it's pulling it off of the dress form. I just have it pinned up there and down there, and then I've got a couple of pins behind, just like I did last week, to try to keep that away from the dress form. But yeah, this one, this is a maybe. I do want to try the 10 pound, but ooh, see, now that's kind of pulling it away. And granted, sewing it on will be better than pins, but this might be the answer, the 5 pound. I think the 10 pound is going to be too strong. Okay, this is interesting. This has this piece up here, which when I read the back, it says it's a removable shielding collar that prevents it from actually sticking to things. So I wonder if that will, okay, no, it's still sticking. Like, I don't think that shielding collar is doing much, but basically it sticks past the magnet. You can see it there, and ideally prevents it from sticking. I feel like we're getting less flutter with this than with the 5 pound. So let's remove the shielding. Oh, okay. We're really fluttering with this one. Ooh, maybe the 10 pound is better, but we're also sticking is the oh yeah, like it won't let go. So that might not work after all, but it's somewhere around the 5 to 10 pound mark. So actually I figured why not check the 20 pound one as well? We are getting good flutter with this, and it's not sticking to it, interestingly enough. So I think we have our winner. We're going with the 20 pounder, and I will return all of those others, and then we'll figure out how to sculpt a rose over the top of this, which is good too, because this is like kind of a thicker, nicer handle to hold. And weirdly, it is sticking, but it's not pulling it off. I don't know if I pinned it better this time or what, but yeah, I think the flutter, look at that flutter. That flutter's really nice. So now let's talk about the 2 items that I bought to be able to keep those wings out and away from the dress. Unfortunately, the first item is an immediate no because I looked at the specs wrong. I thought that this was 1.47 inches each side of this hinge, making these twice the size that they actually are. It was actually 1.47 inches total. So yeah, these are tiny. Just for scale comparison, this is how small they are against the butterfly, and they're super, super flimsy too. So these are getting returned. And then these brackets are the other item that I purchased. So I was hoping for a like longer bracket out this way because then it could support more of the wing, but I still think these might work if I can figure out how to adhere this to the butterfly and still be able to sew the butterfly onto the dress, because this has quite a corner back here, and I just like, it's a lot of extra bulk that I kind of don't need, particularly because these little bridge pieces right here that prevent the butterfly from sitting all the way back into the corner. Because basically this is what I'm talking about here. So if this is like adhered to the back of the butterfly, whether that's gluing or whatever, probably gluing makes the most sense, but I suppose I could actually sew through those 2 holes into the blue felt, but that keeps the wings out at an angle here. And so if we look at that with the dress, because this is going to be on the tulle parts, it will, I think, be able to sink in a little bit to the folds of the tulle, but this is kind of how much it sticks out. So the wings are a little bit more angled than I was hoping for, but honestly, I still think that this is going to work. I don't want to glue this in place yet because I still need to paint the veins on the butterfly with all the different colors. So I'm going to do that next, and then we will see about gluing this to the back. So this is my first paint test done. I used mostly puff paints that are from when I was in college, so a really long time ago, plus yellow acrylic because I didn't have acrylic. And the yellow I actually painted on with the pointy end of the brush, like the handle, not the brush, because I found that the brush was just looking kind of smeary. I was trying to mirror the lines on this butterfly right here, but frankly, I'm probably not going to do that going forward because, to be honest, I don't love all of it. I feel like this one is very like vertical and this one's very swoopy, so I may add more lines to my butterfly, and then you'll notice the back is just blank, so I don't have to paint the butterflies. So yeah, that's where we are currently, but I might add more like across that because I kind of like the swoopiness of this side a little bit more. But this is just a test because puff paint takes a long time to dry, so I don't even know if this is really going to work out, but I think the colors are pretty nice. It is a few hours later, the paint is all dry now, and it looks really cool. I love the effect that the puff paint did on this, even though it's like not the neatest, but having like that extra glitter and also the glitter versus the matte, I think it looks so cool. So we're definitely going to do this for our butterfly decorations. So I'm moving on to the bodice mock-up right now, and I have both the Peaches bodice pattern and the Aurora bodice pattern, which were both made basically at the same time, and for some reason my brain had told me, oh, I used the same pattern, but like modified it for the different necklines and waistlines and stuff. Yeah, these are very different. Like, what are these lines? Look, so these are the side back pieces, and you can see like the bottom one is sticking way out in kind of every area. This is the center back. You can see for one thing that the Aurora center back curves in, whereas this one is straight, which is weird because normally mine do curve in. But then also like, what is this? Like I mean, obviously Aurora did curve out over the hip, but like, what is I think it was actually lined up here, and then that means that we have way more over here for Aurora somehow. And like same with the Peaches front, center front here, like Aurora again, there's more of it there. I'm just like, how did this happen? The side front is the same. So now I have to figure out which one of these I guess I want to use as my base. It makes more sense to me, I think, to use Aurora because she goes over the hips. And I do want this to be longer because it does dip down in front. It goes a little bit over the hips, etc. So I think Aurora is going to be the one to use. But like, I'm just kind of blown away by how different it is from Peaches when I had no idea that that was the case. So I have the mock-up on here over my 1870s corset, and as you can see, it is not awful, but it is definitely not perfect. And I was kind of worried about especially the strap area because that was kind of what I was just like making up. Like one of the things that I knew even from the moment that I cut it was that I had made the straps too short, which is why there's this other piece kind of added in there. But obviously there's something going on weirdly with the angle of the straps as well. And I think I actually cut the front too low because if I am intending to wear a camisole with this, which honestly probably yes, because I wear a camisole with everything, my camisole is showing. So yeah, that's definitely going to be too low, and it's also very, very ripply. So I need to do something with these darts to really get out a lot of that excess, especially because the darts are just like huge over here at the arm side. Basically, I was trying to change the angle of the Aurora like straps, for lack of a better term, that went fully off the shoulder to just regular straps and trying to figure out where that came in with the princess seams. So yeah, got some work to do and I'm gonna go make some alterations. Okay, so I've kind of taken a look at all of the changes that need to happen. For one thing, I already pinned out a whole bunch more of the length here at the strap. It was just too big, and honestly, more might need to go. And then the other big thing that I've done is I seam ripped down to basically the point of the bust, this area over here, and repinned this. And I think you can hopefully see just how much is going to wind up coming out of here. I would do the same to the side back seam over here, but obviously I can't reach that. So I kind of tried to mark it with a marker of what I think needs to be pinched out at the top. It is definitely too big there. I also drew in a whole bunch of other marks both on the shoulder and like the back over here and even a little bit in the front because the shoulder strap direction is wrong. Basically, it's kind of falling off my shoulders and it needs to be a little bit wider this way only because of seam allowance. Like I actually like where this is sitting, but I am going to need seam allowance to go this way. And then this part over here, especially in the back, is way too far off the shoulder. Like it's in where my arm is moving as opposed to it should be cut back a little bit more because once you add like a sleeve or something onto that, your movement's going to be really weird and limited if you have the actual back of your bodice going too far off your shoulders. So that needs to be tweaked. I unfortunately do need to recut at least the fronts, like the front and side front, because the angle of this point isn't quite right either. For one thing, I really like where the point is hitting right here. But I didn't put seam allowance, like there's no seam allowance past that. So I need to extend that 1/2 inch there. And then the angle where it's hitting right here at the seam is weird. So that actually needs not only the seam allowance added, but I think it needs about 1/2 inch of length going that way as well, just to like change that angle and make it a little bit smoother and more continuous. I like where the back is hitting at the waist. I think that is just fine. So it's really like transferring all of these markings to the other side. And also I had marked to bring it up 1 inch in the center front. I think I'm just going to bring it up the seam allowance. And if I need to pull down my camisole just a little bit, that's fine because I actually really like where the neckline is on this. And I need the rippliness to go away. But I think a lot of that did go away when I fixed it over here. I did not fix this side. So it's only half of the bodice that is fixed. But yeah, a lot of that rippliness did go away. So I think I just need to add the seam allowance, and that basically that seam allowance will go from here to about here where I like where it is. And then the seam allowance will have to come back in over the shoulder. So it's a little bit funky how everything kind of needs to be recut. But yeah, I think I can get away with just recutting the front and the side front, and then the back it's more about like taking away excess. So I'm going to recut these transfer markings in the back, etc., and we will try on mock-up number 2. I know you were expecting more mock-up, but I've actually made the potentially bad decision, but hopefully okay decision to skip a second mock-up because I felt pretty comfortable about the changes once I like actually, you know, cut off excess here and there and marked everywhere that I needed to add the seam allowance. So I feel pretty comfortable about that. So instead what I've done is I've tried on the wig that was like that other wig that looked promising. And honestly, I think the color is just way too yellow on me. Like this looks pretty atrocious. Obviously it looks very, very strange right now because I didn't cut this lace. I can't return it if I cut the lace. So yeah, the lace is very, very long. Normally when you wear a lace front wig, you are going to cut that lace right on up to the hairline. Yeah, but I think this is really yellow. And also the thing is that it's actually pretty thin on top, probably because it has so much of a lace area here, but I feel like you can really see my hair underneath, even though I am wearing a wig cap underneath as well. So I'm gonna put on the same wig as the Holiday Barbie wig instead and see if that one looks any better, especially color-wise on me. So the thing is that although I do feel like this is a better color on me, I know it's very, very slight, but I do feel like it's a slightly better color. This wig cap somehow is like way small compared to both the other wig that I was just wearing and also, I swear, compared to like my actual Holiday Barbie wig. And so what that means is like, now granted, I do not have this wig pinned or anything right now, and I didn't do actual pin curls. I just kind of put my hair up in a really flat bun at the back of my head. But that said, this wig is like not at all reaching my hairline, which, considering this is going to be a pulled back style, is a problem. You need the wig to be able to cover your hairline, and frankly, even doing my hair up in pin curls, that's really not going to change the bulk of my hair underneath because my hair is so freaking fine. So I don't know why this wig seems to be so much smaller than like the Barbie wig that I bought, you know, 2-3 years ago. That is the exact same type of wig, but I don't feel like this one's gonna work. So I did buy one other wig that like came with bangs, and I didn't try it on, and I'm pretty positive I have not returned it yet. It is just like standard bangs though, not like the foof bangs, but I think I might actually go try that on and see if maybe I can do something with that. Yeah, no, not only does this wig feel just like super, super cheap, I mean, it's crazy long, but it feels so plastic and cheap. There is no way that I can transform bangs like this into what I'm needing, and this wig's not gonna let me like pull back the hair or anything either. So we're gonna go with the same wig that I used for Holiday Barbie because at the very least with this one, my hair here isn't showing and like the wig cap isn't showing, and I can do workarounds to hide the side stuff if I cannot get this to fit better. So yeah, we're gonna do this one, and it'll also look better like when it's pinned and everything. And basically if I have like pin curls right here, I can help to pull the wig and stretch the wig over that. I may also be able to just stretch the wig out, period, so that it fits a little bit better. So then the next thing that I was looking at here was basically like how to do the bangs, and I realized that I still had a yaki braid. I think that this is actually like half of the hair that was left over from doing the rope braid on Holiday Barbie that went around her head. Otherwise, maybe I bought a second one at the time. But basically, I'm wondering if I can actually use some of this for the bangs so that I don't lose that much of the volume of the wig itself. Because if I am able to pull just like the tiniest little bit of hair out, like right here, basically right at the front, then I may actually be able to kind of create my own, like sew this into sort of a weft situation, like, you know, about that long or something like that, and basically put that underneath this section here, which obviously I would cut the other length of this section, but if I put that underneath, it would really help to fill out those crazy bangs that she has, and it would not take that much hair away from the wig, which is kind of my goal because I like the volume of this wig for Barbie, and I would like to not lose that much. Now, some of you did suggest after the last video, I guess it was actually after the first video, that I should, since I mentioned that this wig has kind of an uneven length down here, and I very well might cut off the bottom that you can't even see because it's too long to fit in the screen here, that I could potentially take that and then just tie it in. And basically, tying wigs is a pain. I took a class on it last year at Costume College. I am not good at it. It takes a really, really long time. What I'm talking about is hand ventilating wigs. And so you're kind of going through with a little hook, and you are going through the lace and taking like one, maybe two strands of hair at a time and bringing it through and kind of knotting it into place so that you're working with like individual strands of hair at a time. And that is what people do when they make custom wigs. Like if you were to get a wig custom made for yourself because you are an equity actor in a show, that's what they're gonna do. They're not gonna buy a wig from Amazon, usually like a community theater would. They are actually going to custom make a wig for you that exactly fits your hairline. And I mean, that's something that I could do over here too, is I could tie in more, like before I cut off this lace, I could tie in more hair. It takes a really, really, really long time, and I don't really think that I have the patience for that. I may kind of wait to fully style and cut off all of the lace on this wig until a little bit closer to the con to see like what all I have time for, you know, what other projects I'm doing, because that is always a possibility that I could do that either with the cut off hair from the bottom here or this, because this is, although not a texture match, it is like the exact color. That's why I used it for Holiday Barbie as well, because it really is the exact color. I know it looks a lot more shiny though. So yeah, that is an option to do the hand tying, but I can just say right now that I probably don't have the patience for it. Even if I have the time to do it, probably don't have the patience for it. So what I was talking about here by like creating a weft basically would, generally speaking, when you are creating a weft, you would do it somewhere farther back on your hair so that you don't actually see that weft go in. But basically you're gonna kind of sew a strip. You could do like bias tape, just twill tape, etc. You're gonna sew a strip across there. So you're gonna like lay this out pretty flat and then sew a little strip that's right across there with whatever the length that you need. And that can then be sewn in like extensions, but into a wig. And so that's a lot easier because it is not so obvious because it's somewhere in the back of your hair. This is the very front, and so doing that may not really be possible because I don't want the bulk of the tape in there. So we'll have to see how that goes. Really, you should be ventilating a wig to do something like this, to do a hairline change. It's just that that is a pain. Also, I realized that I've been playing with it on this side. It's actually this side that has the bangs. So yeah, this is where the bangs are gonna go. Ta-da! So I'm going to work with the wigs some other time, like later, probably once I've finished really pretty much everything else on this project. And I have gotten some work done on several other things, one of which you see in the background, which I will talk about momentarily, which is the bodice. But first, I decided to make my butterflies. So they are not completely done, but I took the rest of the iron butterflies from that set, which was a set of 8. So I am making 8 butterflies to go on this dress, even though on the doll she only actually has 5. No, she has 6. She has 1 on her shoulder and then 5 on the skirt. And the 5 on the skirt are all varying sizes. These are obviously all the same size, and they're also all really too small for scale, which is why I'm doing 8. At least for now. If I go to like put these on the dress and that's not enough, I will get another pack of the butterfly bases and I will make more than 8. These obviously still need to be painted. They have not been painted yet. I just need to have a time when like I'm not using my sewing table area and I can paint them all and then kind of seal off the room so that Maisie doesn't get in here and try to jump on things that have been freshly painted. Because I'm using puff paint, it does take a little while to dry. Like you basically have to leave it for overnight to dry. And so I need that surface space. So next week, honestly, there's probably going to be a lot of painting happening, because the other thing that I have done since the last time that I talked to you was I made the bodice. So here she is. She is very sparkly. I don't feel like that's coming across on camera, but yeah, it's very sparkly. And unfortunately, I also kind of realized I went and I washed this fabric before I cut it out and, you know, sewed it together, the sparkly fabric. And I just like washed it in the sink and hung it to dry. But whereas in the store, it did not seem like it was really shedding glitter, it really shed glitter. So like I washed it in the sink and some glitter came off, and then I dried it by using a big bath towel and doing the kind of roll up method where you get most of the water out before you go to hang it dry. And that towel is now like made of glitter, and there's glitter like in my bedroom where I had hung it up to dry, and yeah, there's a lot of glitter everywhere. I mean, it's not necessarily a bad thing, it doesn't bother me. There's always glitter in my house, frankly, but it's just something to note that this fabric is not something that does not shed glitter. It does shed glitter. It sheds glitter everywhere. And I have not yet tried this on. I just put this together last night, but it is like, you know, fully assembled, and the next step is going to be to try it on, make sure that I don't have to do any additional alterations, and then I can paint it. So that's why next week's video is going to have a lot of painting, because yes, we have reached the end of this week's video, and next week's video I plan to paint and then finish all of the butterflies because they still have to be glued to their little angle backings. And I also want to paint this entire bodice, or at least I plan to paint as much of this bodice as I can without potentially having to order new pens, because I do not anticipate being able to do the entire bodice with the one pen set. I expect to run out of the ink paint in the pens. I'm just guessing that that's what's going to happen. So we'll see how far I can get. But yeah, those are kind of my two big things that I really want to do next week, because once the painting is done on this, then I can fully finish it, like do the binding at the neckline, put on the little ruffle at the neckline, put on the sleeves, like attack those sleeves, because those sleeves are going to be really strange. And then potentially either mount the skirt to the bodice, or decide that no, the bodice is going to be its own separate thing from the skirt, and the skirt's going to be put on a yoked waistband. So we'll have to figure that out, but the painting comes first. So next week's video might be mostly painting, just kind of as a warning, because I know that that painting on the bodice particularly is going to take a while. The butterflies, they're quick and easy. Like I might be able to paint them this evening and then just have them done tomorrow. So yeah, that's going to be it for me on this week's video. Hopefully you have enjoyed it. If you like this video, please go ahead and click the thumbs up icon. And if you'd like to see more videos like this from me, please go ahead and click subscribe and the little bell icon to be notified every time I post a new video. I do post videos here on YouTube at least once a week, usually with sewing vlogs like this out on Tuesdays, but sometimes with additional costuming or sewing related content out on Saturdays. But I post every day over on my Instagram, so please go follow me on Instagram. That's at Lady Rebecca Fashions. And if you'd like to help support all of the work that I do on this channel, I do have a link to my Patreon and my Ko-fi down in the description below, or you can send me a super thanks or join my YouTube channel memberships right here on YouTube below the video. I'd also like to take this time to thank all of my absolutely wonderful patrons, without whom I could not do all of these videos, particularly my patrons at the Romantic, Victorian, and Edwardian level tiers, who are Jean, Kim, Audra, Janet, Deborah, Rowan, Liz, Robin, Nurse Anita, Linda, Jen, and Dale. Thank you all so much, and thank you all for joining me. I hope you all have a wonderful week, and I will see you very soon in my next video. Happy sewing!